Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. This has been an interesting, rough few weeks for the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association, for the board. As I'm sure you all know, president for 40 years, Richard Close, passed away. I've been vice president for 28 years under his leadership and thought that would never end. He was an amazing mentor to me, an amazing mentor to other folks on the board, and he will truly be missed. I am, by default and by elect, I am the new president, and Bob is the new vice president of the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association. And our board has been 100% united and committed to make sure that in Richard's memory and in respect to Richard, to make sure that we continue the tradition of the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association to do everything that we've done in the past and continue. So with that, I'd like to start by introducing our board of directors. Jules, you want to unmute yourself, and then after Jules will be Tom Glick.
Yes, hi, my name is Jules Spear. I'm involved with the community outreach department, and I'm also honorary mayor of Sherman Oaks. Thank you.
After Tom will be John, and then Maria.
Thanks, Matt. Hi, everyone. Tom Glick, board member for 4 years now. I chair the homeless committee. I also help out in technology now with the board. So if you send emails or phone calls, we will be responding to them very quickly. So thank you very much.
John, you got to unmute yourself. Maria is already unmuted. So Maria, you want to?
Yeah, I'm Maria Calvin, and I'm the chair of the legislative committee.
Terrific.
Hi, I'm John Eisen, and I'm the old and continuing treasurer of the association.
Okay, then we've got Marshall Long, Nancy, and then Jay Weitzler.
Hi, I'm Marshall Long. I'm chair of the land use committee.
Okay. Nancy.
Hi, everybody. Nancy Segoyan here. I am board member and membership chair, and I usually take just a moment here to encourage anyone who's joined us and lives in Sherman Oaks to join SOHA, support your community. We rely on your support to do all our good work, and you can go to our website at soha914.com and click on Join SOHA. And just a word about Richard. He was an amazing leader. He was so supportive, and he did such tremendous work for this community. I appreciate it as a longtime homeowner here in our community. And you know, his work on Proposition 13 saved millions of people countless amounts of money and allowed a lot of people to stay in their homes. So we thank Richard and we carry on. Thanks for joining us.
Jay.
Yes, I'm Jay Weitzler. I am secretary of the organization. I'm also the liaison to the Hillside Federation. And there's actually a lot going on there now, but I don't want to take up any time tonight to describe some of the things that are going on, including a revamp of the LA Zoo that we talked about last night. I also echo what Nancy just said about Richard. He headed this organization for an unbelievable 45 years. That's just an amazing, remarkable thing to do. The time and effort he put in, he made Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association as powerful a homeowners organization as there is in the entire city. And it's really all due to Richard's efforts and his desire to accomplish that. So we are always going to be deeply indebted to him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jay. Okay, great. So let us get down to business. We have Stephanie Clements, who is running she's a candidate for the city controller's office. You want to talk to us a little bit, Stephanie, about yourself, but also tell us, we know that Paul Koretz is running. Who else has thrown their hats into the ring? And the table's yours.
Great. Hi, everybody. Stephanie Clements, yeah, LA City Controller candidate. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak to this very important organization. A little bit about my background, just real quick. I was born and raised in LA. I'm third generation Angelino. I was actually born in Sherman Oaks, so I'm an original Valley girl. But I grew up in Brentwood and my grandparents lived in the Valley, so I spent a lot of time in the Valley growing up. And by the time I graduated college, I knew that I wanted to work for the city. And actually, my first city job was I interned for City Controller Rick Tuttle, ironically. And since then, I've been working for the city for more than 25 years. I've worked in 5 different departments, from administering grants to nonprofit organizations in disadvantaged communities, to working in the CAO's office, the budget office, overseeing budgets and bond programs, to being CFO at both Los Angeles Fire and Police Pensions for 5 years, and also the Bureau of Street Services as assistant director. So I consider myself an all-around city expert and public finance expert who truly understands how government operates. And like many Angelinos, I'm incredibly disappointed and frustrated with how the city is being mismanaged. And I feel compelled to run for city controller to use my knowledge, my expertise, my experience, my know-how to help try to fix the city. So I have a website, clementsforcontroller.com, 4 being the number 4, and I have what I'm calling my primary mission. And there's 3 focus areas that I want to focus on. One is to help improve the mismanagement of our finances and of our city budget. 2, I want to help improve city services. And 3, I want to help stop and prevent future corruption. So real quick about fiscal mismanagement. You know, our city's budget has been mismanaged for many, many years, where if you look at the data over time, our budget, the city budget, excluding DWP, harbor, and airports, but the city core budget has exploded from $4 billion to $11.5 billion. Taxpayers are paying $7 billion more than they did just 20 years ago. We actually have less city employees working today, but city salaries have gone up 200% from $2 billion to $4 billion. Health insurance workers' compensation costs have gone up 300% from 250 million to 750 million. And our pension obligation for just 1 year has gone up from 260 million to $1.4 billion. And that's every year. So if you just add up pension costs and insurance premiums, workers' compensation costs alone, that's $2 billion that taxpayers are paying out of an $11 billion budget. And
Thank you.
Oh, is that it? Okay, well,
That's
there's a lot on my website, but I want to improve city services and work on corruption. I have a lot of very substantive information, and apologies for that. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Stephanie. And we have a big agenda, so we've got to keep a tight schedule.
Understood.
We also have Aaron Seinfeld up, who's going to be coming up after our next speaker. So hopefully, Aaron, your mic is unmuted. Aaron is the Mayor Garcetti's West Valley rep, so she's got a report that she's going to be giving.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Our next, thank you, Stephanie. Our next speaker is Tim Lindenberger. He is one of the chairs, or of the I believe the Valley chair for the recall election of our district attorney. Tim, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Matt. You ready for me to take it away?
We are. You've got
2 minutes.
2 minutes. You got it.
Cut me off when I've hit the limit here. Well, first of all, thank you to the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association. Thank you, Matt. Thank you to everybody for hosting us. We really appreciate it. We have some exciting updates about the campaign. My name is Tim Weinberger. I am a spokesperson and handle media and communications for the recall effort. I also wanted to say condolences for your loss. I know how much work this group does to create a better community for Los Angeles and for Sherman Oaks. So I understand that impact, and just really appreciate all the work that you all do. So as for our campaign, the petitions are officially out. That's the biggest news of the day. As of January 27th, we have 160 days to collect roughly 570,000 signatures. in order to create a recall election for George Gascon, the Los Angeles County District Attorney. So the total number of signatures, again, it's 566,000. It's obviously a monumental task. We're going to need all the help we can get. But the bottom line takeaway that I want you all to understand tonight is that if we're able to collect these signatures, which I think we can do it with the infrastructure we have, Gascon will be recalled at a recall election. That's what all the polling and data is telling us right now. And we believe that would help restore public safety in Los Angeles and help get justice for victims who are not getting it. So the website to download a petition or to sign up for information about how you can help volunteer or to make a contribution if you so choose is www.recalldageorgegascon.com. And I'll repeat that again. It's www.recalldageorgegascon.com. And you can contribute there. You can sign up to volunteer. All of our social media links are there as well. If you follow those links, you'll be able to see updated petition gathering events that are taking place around communities across Los Angeles every weekend. We hope to be holding one in every city, all the 88 cities very soon here in the future. So we'll be posting all of those updates there. But again, we very much appreciate your support and thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Tim. And we got it while you were talking, we had a lot of chatter as far as that you're like a better looking version of Tom Brady. Any relation?
I've heard I'm the ugly version of Tom Brady, so I'll take that. I'll take either one. I'll take it. I consider both a compliment.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
So, Aaron, are you, I don't know, you should be unmuted. Don't know what happened as far as you not getting the invite. So I don't know if folks are going to be able to see you, but Aaron, you want to go ahead? You've got the mic.
Yeah, is there any way to promote me to panelist so I can properly introduce myself? Oh, here we go.
There you go. Go, Aaron.
Perfect. Can you see me now?
We cannot. We're still looking at Tom Brady. We can see you. Hey,
there we go. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to officially meet SOHA. I am the Mayor's West Valley area rep, which is kind of confusing because we're in Sherman Oaks, but I cover Studio City and Sherman Oaks and then pretty much everything west of the 405 from mountain to mountain. So just a little small area of the city. I want to take this opportunity to introduce myself and to give some updates. With updates, I always try and highlight something that will benefit you directly, and that's not always mentioned. I want to highlight the fact that applications for the inaugural LA City Youth Council are open now. Applicants must be LA City residents between the ages of 16 and 25. And the applications are open until February 28th. You can go to youthcouncil.lacity.org. There's 3 reasons that we think it'd be great to apply for those youth. This is the initial cohort, so we'll be making history. It's an opportunity for the youth to gain professional development and they can earn some money. Members will receive up to $300 a month for their time and expertise. So once again, you can go to youthcouncil.lacity.org. I want to mention a program that will help bridge the digital divide that our libraries are offering, and that's Tech to Go. Computer bundles come equipped with a Chromebook device and an internet hotspot for long-term use. And these computer bundles are available to adults with a library card in good standing. And all patrons must sign a mobile device user agreement upon checkout. But libraries very close to Sherman Oaks and Van Nuys and West Valley Regional all have the program, and you can go to just search Tech to Go with the number 2 in LA City Library or reach out to me for the link. Last week, Mayor Garcetti and the Los Angeles Business Council launched the Regional Alliance Marketplace for Procurement, also called RAMP. It's a portal that centralizes both public and private procurement opportunities, and RAMP will address procurement reform and equitable access for contracting opportunities. It's a unique solicitation portal designed to provide the small business community with a centralized hub for contracting opportunities with the City of Los Angeles, as well as other public and private entities. And RAMP expects to make available more than $10 billion in procurement opportunities in its first year. So it will launch on tomorrow, 18th. You can go to rampla.org. I will highlight that starting July 1st, the minimum wage will increase to $16.04 an hour, which is great. And then there's 2 opportunities And I want to
Thank you.
highlight for the rest of the month that have to do with climate and sustainability.
Aaron, you got to wrap.
No.
Aaron, you got to wrap it up.
Okay, I will end it there. If you, I guess my email address is really easy. It's just aaron.seinfeld@lacity.org. Reach out if you need anything. I can add you to my newsletter so you get these links.
And Erin has assured us that she's going to be on the call through the end for a while now because a lot's going to be happening with the mayor going off and the transition and all the rest. So Erin will be on the call every month, right, Erin?
I'm going to try. I'm not going anywhere.
All right,
so
good.
I'll be here. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. So thank you, Erin. Next up is Andy Solomon, our neighborhood prosecutor with the city attorney's office.
Hi, everyone. I'll just wait till there we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Andy Solomon. I'm from the city attorney's office. I'm the neighborhood prosecutor. I handle a lot of the issues that typical prosecution don't resolve. I work with your senior lead officers, Jose Saldana and Mariana Romo, and anyone in the community and the whole city, and also county people, and sometimes the feds as well. Right now, what we're working on, I've been looking at the 101 in Coldwater has been an issue for many people. I've been getting calls about it. I've been working with the senior leads about it. I do owe them a call of an update. Had a call with a business owner, a landlord yesterday, and another call with a business owner last week. And it's a little bit complicated. I'll explain it in 1 second. Basically, there's an intersection between state land and city land, and we need to work together and coordinate an effort to clean up. It's not our typical call Alex and she can help us with the cleanup and call Jose Saldana or Mariana Romo and they can help us on the LAPD side. We do need to coordinate it. So that is something I'm going to be working on in the immediate future. I'm also continually working on keeping the boulevard cleaner and safer. I'm hearing from you guys that it's not what it used to be. And I see that. And I think the police and I are doing what we can. We're going to continue to keep working on it and come up with new solutions. But please feel free to let us know. Any hotspots, alert me. Any other issues in Sherman Oaks, let me know. Even if I'm not the right person, I will get you to the right person. My email address is andy.solomon, SOLIMAN, @lacity.org. It's the fastest way to reach me and I respond. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Andy. Next up is Ryan with Assemblymember Nazarian's office.
Thank you. Disappeared, Ryan.
No worries. Jose Saldana, our amazing senior lead officer. He's actually covering 2 shifts tonight, and he will tell you why. Jose?
All right. I'm waiting for Andy. There you go. Good evening, everybody. I'm Officer Saldana. I'm the senior lead officer for the southern portion of Sherman Oaks. Officer Romo covers the northern portion of Sherman Oaks, and she's not in today. She was actually at the parade, working the parade detail and keeping the parade goers out there safe. So she'll be here next month for sure. For the Sherman Oaks, I'm going to try to cover a little bit of both. We're up about 8% on crime between the northern and the southern portion of Sherman Oaks, and mostly it's property crime. One of our major problems that we have is our underground parking structures, for apartments, condos, townhomes, those type of underground parking structures. We're getting a lot of vehicles being broken into, and those are one of our main numbers that why our numbers are increasing on property crime. It's, please take your extra time when you exit those underground parking structures and make sure that the gate in the back closes, because these people, we have video of these individuals running into the underground parking structures when the car leaves. We have Officer Romo has a major cleanup on Tuesday with Care Plus on Van Nuys and the 101 freeway. Right off the Van Nuys Boulevard and the 101. The Care Plus team is going on. We've been working with CD4. So Tuesday, they'll be there and doing a major cleanup there by the off-ramp of the 101. Also, one thing to Last week, Officer Romo and we responded to a radio call right there on Sepulveda and Ventura. And it was a domestic violence radio call. And the car came back as a wanted by Beverly Hills on a smash and grab stuff. But they didn't have any suspect description. We had the vehicle description, the license plate, but we didn't have suspect description. We identified the people inside the vehicle. We spoke to the Beverly Hills watch commander, and we got the information what they took. And there was actually one item that they really wanted, and it was $40,000 worth of a one pair of shoes, Louis Vuitton shoes, were made out of crystal and stuff. So it was a very expensive pair of shoes. And the pair of shoes, along with the box, was recovered from the vehicle. The car was also impounded as evidence. So from that, I know we're shorthanded. So we're still very safe in Sherman Oaks.
Great, thank you, Jose. And I'm glad that those crystal shoes have been recovered. That's a big relief in my book. I'm everybody else on this call. Thanks, Jose. Bob, do you have is Ryan? Awesome.
Yes, I'm ready, Matt.
All right, go for it.
All right, thanks, Matt. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. My name is Ryan Ahari, and I am the Sherman Oaks Field Representative for Assemblymember Adrin Nazarian in the 46th Assembly District. First off, the Assembly member was very shocked to hear about Richard's passing. He and I both were very fortunate to attend his funeral service, which was very nice to remember him. And also the Assembly member in early February adjourned a floor session of the Assembly in memory of Richard. And I'll be sure to send that video over to you all. It's also on our website. The member wanted to speak a little bit about Richard. Some office updates. I wanted to let you all know that bill introduction deadline is this Friday. So after this Friday, there will be no more bills to be introduced for the remainder of this legislative session. I did want to highlight 3 legislative bills that the member is introducing, and they have to do with healthcare. And I think, Maria, you'll like some of these. One of them has to do with establishing the older adult and people with disabilities targeted rent stabilization program aimed at preventing and ending homelessness with older seniors and people with disabilities. Establishing a 5-year healthier home and age in place nursing program in 8 counties across California, and addressing the issue of isolation for those living in long-term care facilities and the frustration of actually seeing your loved ones. There are a lot of stipulations that come into this. So the member, as chair of aging and long-term care, has introduced these 3 bills that he will be shepherding through the Assembly, and fingers crossed get this through the legislature to become law. I also want to let you all know last month we did a mortgage relief workshop. We had some folks come out to learn about how to apply for mortgage relief, which again, camortgagerelief.org. You can check your eligibility. As many as 40,000 Californians can receive as much as 80,000 in back pay for mortgage relief. Our office is continuing to work on casework. Andy mentioned the 101 in Coldwater before. If anybody needs assistance with Caltrans, the DMV, the Franchise Tax Board, contact our office. Our phone number is 818-376-4246. You can also ask for our district director, Emma Taylor, which leads me to finally saying, I have been with this office for the past year, and I've been coming to these virtual meetings for the last year, and I haven't seen many of you for an entire year up until the Sherman Oaks toy drive, the SOHA toy drive at Gelson's. So I'm not happy to share this, but this is my last SOHA meeting, and on behalf of our office. So I do just want to say this isn't goodbye. I will be around, and I'll be in touch, but this is my last report on behalf of our office. So in the meantime, if anybody needs anything, please call our district office, ask for Emma Taylor. Again, she's our district director. She also was the former Sherman Oaks field representative for myself. So that's it, folks. Good seeing everybody. And that's it.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you. You will be missed. You were a great asset to the Assembly member. So we have just 2 quick, we're going to get to the featured keynote speaker in just a minute. We have 2 board members are going to give some committee reports. Maria Calvin on housing and then Bob on the Metro. So Maria, you are up to bat, girl.
Okay. Thank you. I actually have good news, and usually I don't have that. So the city council actually passed the correct motion for implementing of SB 9. That was one that we worked very hard with the council member on, and it was passed and all our conditions were approved, and we continue to work with CD4. Yesterday I met with them on possible amendments to that. So we're very pleased with that. As far as housing bills go in Sacramento, we are looking at an assembly bill that is for social housing, and it creates a super agency that will build for very low and low income and moderate income housing on public and private land. We do have concerns. We have a lot of red flags up on that one, only because they don't eliminate eminent domain. They have no local input on where they will build this. So we have already reached out to the author, and we'll keep you informed on that. The second bill is a bill that will remove all minimum parking criteria for residential and commercial development along anywhere near the half mile of a bus line. We think that's a terrible bill, and it is introduced by Laura Friedman. This was a bill that was introduced last year and didn't pass, and I'm only bringing it up because she will be running for our assembly district opposing Adrin Nazarian. So I just wanted to bring that up. And in closing, I just want to talk about Richard Close, because for me, he was really a guiding light. He had great understanding of policy and politics, and he was generous in sharing his knowledge with me. He was always balanced and thoughtful, supportive and kind. I will miss our frequent chats. I always asked him for a few minutes, and he always gave me a tremendous amount of time. And for that, I will always miss and feel indebted to him. So thank you, Matt. That's it for me.
Thank you, Maria. And just so the audience knows, if Maria does an amazing job, very passionate about what she does. If any of you have some passion for housing issues and you want to work on these along with Maria, just send us an email. She would love to have your assistance. She works too many hours on this and would love to have your assistance, as would Bob and any of the other committee members that we have. So again, if you've got the time, if you've got the passion, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you, Maria. Bob, you're up next. Bob, do you know how to get on? There you go.
7 other buttons first. Thanks, Matt. And thanks, Maria. I'm glad you had good news. I have some good news. First, I want to thank everybody who submitted comments to Metro. No matter what your comments are, I want to thank you for doing it, because I have to tell you, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, a lot of elected officials, Metro is one of the worst agencies I've ever seen in my life. And I have worked with almost every agency that the federal government has, NASA, energy, defense, you name it. Metro doesn't listen to us. And the more comments we send in, maybe we'll have a little choice. And what Metro has done, which makes me so mad, folks, is that they have allowed misinformation to spread around the city about this very important project that will go through the Sepulveda Pass and finally connect the valley to the west side. I have gotten emails, I have gotten voicemails, I've seen articles, and basically everything they say in the article is wrong. It's absolute misinformation, either accidentally or designed to get you to vote one way or the other. I've spent 400 hours reading every document that Metro's ever put out and getting others from California Public Records Act. And so I know a lot more than the average person, and I'm appalled at what we see. And what I'm most appalled at, though, is that Metro has not taken the time to go out and say, this is misinformation. Here, public, are the right answers. Here is the correct answer, to allow you to make a correct choice and give us correct comments. And unfortunately, they don't take the time to do that, which to me is a dereliction of duty. And I'm working with some other folks and some elected officials, and we're going to try to fix that a little bit. But I also want to say how much Richard helped me. We spent long hours talking about my letters to Metro that were quite nice when we finished with them after Richard's help. They didn't start out that way very often, but it was a pleasure working with him. And I look forward to work with everybody on the board and anybody new who wants to help to keep this organization as strong as it has been. And if you do have a question or you want to let us know something, send an email to SOHA, SOHA 914@gmail.com. Tom Glick is monitoring that all the time, and we will get back to you quickly. So that's it, Matt. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bob. So, Councilmember, you're up, and we, after you tell us who you are and why we should all vote for you for our next mayor, we are going to open it up to questions. If the audience does have questions, please send them in. And we've got a whole bunch of questions beforehand, and we will, if Bob sees Jay Weitzler is going to be asking the questions. And if he sees that you're in the audience, he'll open the mic to you, and then you can actually ask the council member himself the question. So, Joe, we all know the basics about you, but again, tell us about your background. We know that you grew up in the city, I believe down in San Pedro. You're the council member down there since 2016. And so why don't you?
Well,
oh, 2012. I'm sorry. Okay. How'd that work out? 10 years? Interesting.
Right.
I know, I'm kidding. So let's talk about who you are and why you should be the next mayor. And
hey,
Mike's all yours.
thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Matt, let me just share and echo what I heard in honoring Richard Close. Soon after his passing, the entire LA City Council adjourned in his memory. And I credit my political involvement and interest to Richard Close following the secession movement. As you know, there was a secession movement in the Valley, and at the same time, there was a secession movement here in the harbor, which motivated me to get involved because I too, like our friends in the Valley, like yourselves, felt that the city wasn't paying attention to us. We were the stepchildren of City Hall. And so in a way, San Pedro and the Valley are very connected. We're distant cousins. We are demanding the same action and the same resources. So to Richard Close, an amazing advocate, helped transform this Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association into a political powerhouse. He was bold and courageous, very vocal. So I too want to join the board in honoring his life and legacy to the city and to the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association. There is a lot happening in the city of Los Angeles. In this mayoral election, neighbors, we're at a crossroads here. We need to decide which direction the city is going to go. Do we want more mayhem and crime on our streets? Or do we want to pivot the direction and restore quality of life and restore balance and practical policies to Los Angeles? I've dedicated 30 years to public service to the city of Los Angeles. During my college years, I worked at my local park, the same park that I grew up in, and the same park that I learned how to play baseball and basketball and sports. And my family, my immigrant family they immigrated to San Pedro in the port in 1969 from Italy. And they instilled in me the importance of faith, of family, of service to others. And part of that was, the importance of giving back and doing good and following the law and being a loving husband and father. Joined the LAPD, a blessed 15 years. And these last 10 years, I've been a police reserve officer with LAPD. I do want to recognize Van Nuys and Captain Heard's leadership, and of course my brother and sister, Senior Lead Officer Jose Saldana and Mariana Romo, for their service to your neighborhood. When I joined the LAPD, I told the board, the interview board, that I wanted to be a police officer so I can go back to my hometown in San Pedro and patrol the streets. In those 15 years, I worked a variety of assignments, including I earned my field training officer's promotion in admission. I know the valley well, patrol the streets there, and then earned my star in San Pedro here at the harbor area. And there, as a police officer, as senior lead officer, what you hear from both Jose and Mariana is the quality of life and being responsive to our residents and our businesses, which drove me to my interest in serving the city of Los Angeles as a council member, so I would have the decision-making abilities to improve the quality of life in Council District 15. So the people of Council District 15 elected me in 2012. And what we've done over the course of these last 10 years, and I encourage you to look at the candidates for mayor and rate the candidates on what they have done, the actions they have taken to address the quality of life in our city. And I'm proud of what we've done here. You're going to hear from candidates a lot of words and promises and being able to fix things. And in fact, some of my opponents have been in positions of leadership at the state and federal level. And today they had positions in the state and federal level that could have solved homelessness and the mental health and drug addiction crises that we see in our city. But I want you to recognize the actions that I have taken in my district. In fact, what we've done, if you want to see how to address homelessness, come to my district, because we have led with carrot and stick, where we have said yes to solutions, but we've also been able to restore and protect our public right-of-ways, our parks, our beaches, our sidewalks. And in my district, we've had significant community input to address homelessness crisis and actually house almost half of the people living on our streets. People have been housed in my district. They moved into a safer, cleaner location, and we did not allow folks to anchor themselves to the sidewalks. And I'm really proud of the fact that we do that. And that is a model to follow throughout the city. And what we've seen and what you're experiencing at the 101 in Van Nuys and the 101 in Coldwater, that Senior Lead Officer Saldana is addressing your concerns there. We need to put an end to street encampments in the city. And I have a plan for that. Because my colleagues have not agreed with me on leading with urgency and having the carrot and stick, we have to have both. We have to move quickly with urgency on emergency beds and not wait 3 to 5 years on apartments that cost $500,000 a door. And my ballot measure, since my colleagues have not agreed with me over the years, I'm taking it to the voters, to you, and let the voters decide with the ballot measure that will do a number of things. One, it will address the FEMA-like response that we've been calling for. I've said this years ago. I even inked an op-ed piece in the Daily News. All of a sudden, my opponents are calling for a FEMA-like response. I've been saying this for years. But we will move the decision-making into the Office of Emergency Management under this ballot measure. We will have independent auditors. As one of the candidates for controller said, money's not an issue. We are pouring hundreds of millions of dollars, and yet we are not seeing the improvements on our streets today. I'm calling for the divorce of LAHSA today. We're giving LAHSA $330 million a year. Is it working on our streets? There are other projects and programs like the shared housing that they're doing on the west side that costs less money, and it actually helps people get off the streets and into self-sufficiency. We will also cut elected officials' pay, including the mayor. When I'm elected, I'll cut my own pay if we're not meeting certain thresholds on emergency housing. It would also amend the local municipal code to take advantage of emergency powers, giving it to the mayor. And it also will ban camping citywide when interim housing is available and offered at all times and all circumstances. We will get to functional zero on chronic homelessness in 36 months. And this is a constitutional ballot measure that abides by the Boise ruling. And since my colleagues want to do a piecemeal approach on what we're seeing in 4118, where you're playing whack-a-mole, you're pushing one problem to the next, we are going to solve street camping in 36 months when I'm elected mayor and when we pass this ballot measure. I also want to recognize the issue of, and Matt, I've timed myself, I have 6 minutes. The issue of homelessness and housing. Okay, this is not only a housing issue, and I've been saying this for years. We have a mental health problem and a drug addiction problem. We also need to recognize, and I've been on record for years on advocating the state government to reform mental health laws, redefine gravely disabled, increase the number of conservatorship, because I've seen with my own eyes as a police officer, even more so as a council member, that people are not on the right mind frame to say yes to help. And yet we are allowing them to destroy themselves on our streets. Where's the compassion there? That's actually cruel to allow folks to destroy themselves. So we need to reform our mental health laws. We need to have the county increase the number of conservatorship and more long-term mental health beds. I can tell you this. I was the only council member who was cleaning encampments and connecting people to services during the pandemic. And we helped a lot of people. And yet there were folks, the advocates who were protesting my house, who were saying, give them a right to lie, give them a right to sleep on public right-of-ways. And I pushed back against that narrative and said, no, you're giving them a right to die on our streets. Where is the compassion? And I'm the only candidate that actually been on the street level for many, many years. That's the experience, the skills, the knowledge that I have. While my opponents have been in office legislating, we have to ask ourselves, who do you want in this position that has the experience on the street? And I can tell you, Officer Saldana, who's here, the senior lead officer, we need a senior lead officer mentality to run this city. It's quality of life. It's a quality of life. And I've done this work. And we have seen the demise of our quality of life when people come up to me saying, Joe, I'm afraid of my safety. People come up to me and saying, Joe, I'm going to leave my business. I'm going to leave LA. It breaks my heart. And I know you're hearing it as well. You're hearing it from the business improvement district there in the Valley. You're hearing that businesses want to leave the Valley. Well, we're going to change direction when I'm mayor. I'm telling you this. I'm the only candidate who's actually patrolled the streets here. This is why I pushed back against defunding the police. I was one of 2 no votes. If we defund the police, you take resources away from the police department, expect to see a spike in crime. I was right a couple of years ago. Now, I also believe we need to invest in more mental health services, but that's not the city's responsibility. That's a county's and state responsibility, because when you get victimized and you call 911, you want the police to show up in a timely manner. So my plan for public safety is to increase the amount of patrol officers and put them in the streets, so that when you go out to dinner at night, you want to make sure that you're safe and your home is safe. I support the recall of George Gascon, and I'm glad to see the representatives here, because what we're seeing is a lack of consequences. George Gascon is not filing gang enhancements, gun enhancements. We are tired of these social experiments that have failed us. The social experiments that we're waiting for housing, we're waiting for an apartment building for the homeless to go into. Meanwhile, they're dying in our streets. Meanwhile, they're being victimized in our streets. Meanwhile, the gangs and the drug dealers are taking advantage of the most vulnerable among us. That's the knowledge and the experience that I have. What I have done in my district is the way forward. I encourage you to come down and see. You're in my district, you're not going to find a large, dangerous encampment, because I've worked with my community. We've said yes to solutions, but we also kept the promise that with the solution, you're going to have a safe and clean street, sidewalk, parks, and beaches. And that's what we're going to do as when you elect me as mayor. So, you know, I'm also a member of my homeowners association here, and we have ensured that we have kept our zoning laws in place. I pushed back and I joined my colleagues and opposed SB 9 and 10. We have to do all we can, and as mayor, I will preserve and keep our R1 zones, keep the characters of your neighborhoods. I know you worked hard. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into your neighborhood, into your property. But I also know the importance of living in a city that is welcoming to everyone, and a city that is clean and safe. And with the most recent entrant into the mayor's campaign in the billionaire and Rick Caruso, I welcome him to the debate. Love to hear what he has done to address homelessness. Love to hear what he has done to address the quality of life. And you know, there was years that I put on a bulletproof vest to protect the city, while others were legislating and others were taking in a ton of cash with developments in all parts of the city. And lastly, as it relates to the corruption that I've seen and heard of from a couple of my colleagues, you know, they told me the first day in the police academy, they showed the LAPD badge and they shared with my academy class 1196. Never tarnish this badge. It pained me to see in the headlines, to read the indictments of my colleagues who tarnished the institution, as we call it, local government. And not only am I going to clean the streets and police the streets, but as mayor, I'm going to police City Hall. I'm going to have an inspector general that's going to oversee the ethics department. I'm going to remove the ability to have council members and mayor to appoint people in the ethics commission. Where's the trust there? So not only we're going to police the city and police the streets, but we're also going to police City Hall under my watch. And I love my LAPD officers. They are my brothers and sisters. We responded to many radio calls together, to homicide scenes, to suicide attempts, to we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I support my cops. And I'll be the first to say on day one that LAPD, I see you, I respect you. I've also walked in your same boots. But I also tell my officers that the moment you tarnish that badge, you will be held accountable. That's what we want. I'm going to have my officers be the same officer that I was patrolling the streets, showing the heart behind the badge, leading with an officer that's focused on the guardian mentality, protecting and serving, and not the warrior mentality. We're going to make sure we address crime and put those who are preying on the most vulnerable in jail, but we're also going to stay true to our values as police officers. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Councilmember. So also you have committed along with, I believe, all the rest of them. You're planning on being at the mayoral debate on our April meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, looking forward to it.
All right. So Jay Weitzler is going to be answering the question or asking the questions tonight from the audience. So Jay, you've got the ball.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you so much for your articulate description of much in the homeless area, particularly, and much of what you wanted to do. Some of the questions pending, a lot of them have to do with homeless and mental health. So we may get a little bit more specific in that. But before I ask some of those questions, a number of people, and you touched upon the developer money aspect of the city council. A number of people had questions about Number one, why should they vote for a city councilman to become mayor when the city council has 20% of their people in the last few years under federal indictment, with a couple of more possible people looking in the future? The city council hasn't been exactly a representative of honest government for this city. So why should we trust a person coming out of the city council to become mayor because all you people work together? Again, this is not just my questions, but other people as well.
Yeah.
From a background of working in an organization where apparently so many people have been bought off by developers, then how can we trust you to go forward? And with that, what would you institute as some barrier to this kind of pay to play action that we're seeing in the city council? What regulations, ordinances, rules would you suggest to separate the developers from the buildings? And finally, in the same topic, are you taking any developer money in your campaign donations?
Well, thank you for that. And I understand that I've been asked that from all corners of the city as well. And just know, if you follow my record, I've been the maverick of this city council. I pushed back several ordinances, and I've known to not abide or go along with the program. I've often failed in these last 10 years. I've been the outsider still to this day. But also has had an inside perspective. I'm here to buck the system. I have done that in the last 10 years, and this is why you're seeing an honorable and respectful service. And what we've done here to push back against influences by the developer is what we've done in San Pedro is by right development that takes the politics out of the building process by updating our community plans. And I, along with David Rue, who a dear friend and who has endorsed me, we put forth the ban on developer money. And I'm proud to continue to stand on that. It'll be effective this year, I believe June 1st. But it is also, if you go back to my record, you go back to, when I heard that, what happened with Englander and Weezer, had I known what was going on, I'd put my own handcuffs on them, because it again tarnished the reputation of City Hall. As it relates to projects, as mayor, I'm going to do all I can and institute a policy to get the decision-making process out of the hands of council members to avoid any conflict moving forward. At the same time, I'm going to increase the amount of personnel at the Inspector General office that I mentioned earlier, and the ethics office to have increased oversight of what's taking place in City Hall. And that is, again, how I've operated as a police officer, served honorably, wearing that badge with pride. I've done the same as a council member, and I will do the same as mayor as well. And as far as contributions, you'll find my contributions. I've taken contributions from all walks of life, folks who have invested in our city. Yes, developers, attorneys, residents. Really proud of the spectrum of contributions and individuals that have given to me since I launched this campaign back in last March.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. Now we'll get to the tough questions. We have a question by Lisa Seidman. And Lisa, are you in the audience? If you can unmute yourself or if you're
Yes,
unmuted.
can you hear me? Yes.
Hi, Lisa.
Yes.
Hi. What I wanted to know was, why do you want to be mayor when the city council is so powerful and seems to do more for better or for worse than the mayor is capable of?
Yeah, that's a good question. And what I've seen firsthand, again, is the inability to move quickly with urgency on the city council. And this is why in dealing with the homeless situation, we've moved quickly on interim solutions. That's why you don't see large dangerous encampments. But I believe we can do more. We have to move the needle on acting with urgency. And the unique powers of the mayor is that you put together your entire cabinet. You put together a cabinet, the general managers, a police chief, a fire chief, the head of DWP, you select the head of the airport, the head of the port. And that cabinet of mine that I'm going to select is going to fall in line with my vision and mission of making sure that that the city welcomes business. It doesn't push back against it. But it also, the individual that will be in my cabinet will put public safety first. We'll march in those orders of demanding a clean and safe streets. And that we can do. We also recognize that the mayor has distinct executive powers that we haven't seen this existing mayor use. That is something that I plan on using to improve the quality of life of our residents and consolidate the chain of command. So we march towards a city and we restore the quality of life. And that's I've had a front row seat of the bureaucracy. I've been able to buck it. Just come to my district, you'll see it based on the actions that we've taken. And that's the mayor that I'm going to be moving forward.
Thank you, Councilman. And next we have one of our board members, Maria Calvin, who would like to ask a question of you.
Maria?
Hi there. Council member, the recent regional housing needs assessment figures require cities to meet huge housing numbers. And many of these cities say it is impossible to achieve and keep any kind of quality of life. Senator Glazer has requested an audit of these RHNA numbers and how they are calculated. As mayor, would you be supportive of an audit like that?
I welcome any audit that is going into, instill in some faith and trust in the process. We know with the RHNA numbers, the city of LA has to move 500,000 units, 500,000 units in the next several years. I believe we'll hit those numbers, but also respecting the character of neighborhoods. But we're not going to, the RHNA numbers in Los Angeles, that's pretty significant amount of units. But what I have found, and having a front row seat of the bureaucracy, is we have multiple layers that need to be followed, many check boxes. What I'm going to create is a Department of Development Services that has the departments of building and safety, planning, and yes, parts of the fire department under one department, so that we can streamline these projects to make sure we hit those numbers. We do have a housing crunch in this region. And, we have an affordability problem in the city. I'm concerned about my son who's off to college. I want him to come back to Los Angeles and be able to afford rent or even a home. And this is the steps that need to be taken moving forward to make sure we hit these RHNA numbers.
Councilman, do you have any particular plans? I have a question here from one of our members that I know is not unmuted, Julie Kwan. She was curious as to whether or not you have any specific plans, and you just touched on it, to make housing more affordable in the Los Angeles area.
Yep.
I mean, that's a tough question, I know, but
again, you're talking about the needs versus versus the demands. I encourage you to look at each candidate and base your decision on who you're going to support based on the candidate's actions. You have a billionaire who is developing luxury housing and luxury projects. You have candidates who have claimed to move on legislative policies that help with affordability. I have actually done it. I have built projects and supported projects at all income levels. I have, if you look at my district, we have moved on the right size strategy Now, some neighborhoods can accommodate granny flats and others can accommodate apartment buildings. We have done them all here by respecting the neighborhoods and respecting the zoning. In fact, if you look at my district, we are transforming today Jordan Downs without displacing a soul in Watts, doubling the footprint of affordable housing there in Watts, 1,400 units without displacing a family. In San Pedro, in Wilmington, in Harbor City, projects at all income levels. I have the largest number of public housing sites west of the Mississippi in my district. We've been able, without displacing souls, to build out projects, even senior housing, in affordable housing, market rate housing, workforce housing. We have done it all in these last 10 years, and we'll move the same. We'll move the same as mayor, but we'll do it quicker under the form of how we get to yes to projects, respecting the community's concerns and demands, but also moving quickly by having the Department of Development Services so that everyone's under the same roof, marching the same direction.
Okay, thank you. The next question, we have a member of our organizations who's also a member of the Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council, Susan Collins, and Susan would like you to ask you a question as well.
Oops. Oh, hi, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? I don't know if I unmuted myself.
We can hear you, Susan.
Okay, thanks. Hi, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Buscaino, for being here today. I really appreciate you coming. And I really appreciate your proposed initiative to tie our policymaker salaries to the success or failures made on tackling the addiction, mental health crisis that so many people are referring to as a homeless crisis. It does concern me, though, that it gives the mayor too much authority to fast track homeless housing, which will prevent community members from having the ability to participate in the process before decisions are made. And so I have two questions. One is, what role do you see providing community members to give them a voice in this process? And also, since the city has not kept any of its promises to communities such as Venice, Hollywood, El Pueblo, Los Feliz, regarding cleanups and encampments, what policies will you implement to provide community members with the ability to have problems resolved quickly, as in a few days, not a few months, when they arise? Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you for that question. I've actually kept my promises to the community. I put on my senior lead officer hat, just like what you hear from Officer Jose Saldana. It's partnerships. It's partnerships. We have had over 200 meetings over the course of these last couple of years, to the point where you're not seeing large, dangerous encampments. And as mayor, we're going to fast track those meetings and get you at the table, working with neighborhood councils, HOAs like yours. Part of the policy that when we advance on moving quickly on interim housing, we are going to put forth 1,000-foot radius of no camping zone around all shelters. And I appoint the police chief. The direction of the police chief is that they will ensure that if people don't abide by that 1,000 foot of no camping zone, they will be held accountable. And again, Susan, look, if you come to my district, we've kept those promises. You know, every council district will need to participate like we've done here. It wasn't easy, but if you look at my district today, it's clean and it's safe. You go to my facilities today, it's clean and safe. You don't see that elsewhere in the city, and we're proud of that. And this is why we're doing this ballot measure to hold everyone accountable, and the ballot measure to allow you to decide as a voter, do we want no camping zones around shelters? I say yes, and I know it's polling favorably. And the end goal is to abide by the Boise ruling by get the functional zero. And by the way, Susan, last night there were like 800 beds available. But what's happening today is what I'm going to prevent from happening is we get to functional zero to the point where we have a citywide no camping law, because you and I know there's folks coming from all over the country, and they know, come to Los Angeles, pitch a tent, shoot up drugs. You won't be held accountable. hey, if you commit a crime and if you use a gun, there's not going to be any gun enhancements because the district attorney is not going to file and press charges and put forward on a gun enhancement. And if you're a known gang member from outside, come to LA, commit crime, because there won't be any gang enhancements. So again, no other candidate can tell you and share with you the experience that I've seen on the ground for many years. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm giving up my last 4-year term. I have 70% favorable in my district. I could have easily done four more years. But when my own wife, you've heard me say this, y'all, when my own wife comes to me and says, we should consider leaving LA because she's afraid. We're not leaving. We're going to fix it and make it better because I know we can. And under my leadership, under my skills, my knowledge, my ability, I have patrolled these streets. I'm an on the ground council member. I'm going to be the on the ground mayor because I know, I see what you're seeing. I know how you're feeling, and no other candidate can say that.
Hey, Jay, can I just jump in on a follow-up to that?
Well, you might take care of my follow-up to that, so go forward.
Okay, thank you. So Councilmember, there's 400 beds available. There's homeless people in Sherman Oaks that have agreed that they would like to have a bed. But because Sherman Oaks does not have, there's a dirty little secret that the council members created that if there's not a bed, if there's beds outside the council district, they have to ask permission of the council member in order to move this. And so our district, because we don't have, Sherman Oaks does not have beds available, stuck with not being able to, these other council members want to keep those beds available for themselves. How stupid is that? And as a council member or as a mayor, why is that happening when there's 400 beds available and there's people that are desperately in need, not want, but that are in need of these beds?
I don't know the validity of it. I don't know if that's true, but let me tell you this, as mayor, I will tell you, a bed is a bed is a bed.
Stop for a second. Jose Saldana is still on the phone, I believe. And he knows. Jose, are you still on the phone? Are you still on this call? I don't want to put him on the spot, but
okay.
We work very close with LAPD. We work very close. We have a homelessness issue like every council member district has. So it is a fact of what I stated. So go with it. Go with.
So here's what, you know, I'll take your word, but a bed is a bed is a bed. You know, if a bed is available, this is why the sidewalk should not be an option, because a sidewalk, people are more prone to get killed, are more prone to be lit on fire. Literally, when half of the fires that the fire department's responding to are encampment related, guys. The sidewalk should not be an option when there's a bed available, whether it's in Sherman Oaks or in San Pedro or in Sylmar. The fact of the matter is this: the city of LA is doing the most than any other city in the county, but the other 87 cities in the county, they have no camping laws and they're enforcing them. This is what I've been saying all along, is we're an island down here. And I've been encouraging my colleagues for years to have a no camping law that has teeth. Because if we don't, you're going to enable this behavior. So you hear the passion in my voice, because I, like you, am very frustrated. And this is why I'm running for mayor. When a bed is available, whether you're in the 101 and Coldwater, you've got to take it. But let's be honest with ourselves. It's not a housing issue only. We understand that there's folks who've been into shelters, bridge homes, and after a few days, after a week, they don't want to abide by the rules. You're not allowed to shoot up drugs. You're not allowed to get hammered and get drunk every single night.
Jay,
there's rules that need to be vetted. This is why I'm proposing this ballot measure, because my colleagues on the city council don't agree with me. We've got to reach functional zero. so that Judge Carter, we agree with that Boise ruling. We're going to ban camping citywide. When we get to functional zero, we can have both. And with that has the security measures. To Susan's point and concern, she's absolutely right. We will have security, 1,000-foot radius zones. My plan is the most comprehensive than any other candidate, and it's the most balanced.
Councilman, thank you. And actually, surprisingly or not, Matt's question was almost identical to the one I would have asked. So I assume in your answer, you are implying that as mayor, you would do your best to have the city council stop with the 15 different fiefdoms and have the city treated as a whole. And if that's true, have you made such an effort while you have been a councilman?
Well, look at 4118. I've actually called for a citywide ban and I got pushback from it.
Okay.
And I was forced to support 4118 because we had nothing on the books and it was mayhem outside.
Okay, that's a great answer. Let's move on. I appreciate that, and that was a good one as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, our next member, Brian Link. If Brian is able to ask his question.
Yeah, hi. You guys can hear me okay?
Loud and clear. Hi, Brian. Good evening.
Terrific. Thank you, council member. I appreciate you being here. I had to chuckle a few minutes ago when you expressed concern about your son being able to come back and find affordable housing in the city of Los Angeles. As I'm sure you know, renters in the city of Los Angeles don't have to pay rent right now. And that's all based on the city's state of emergency declaration, which apparently is going to last at least until March of 2023. My question is, how do you expect small housing providers like my wife and I, who are elderly, who have retired and kind of counted on fair rent coming in from their investments in the city of in Sherman Oaks, how do you expect us to live for another year without an income?
Well, I've heard you loud and clear, and I agree with you. And in fact, I voted against the extension of the state of emergency 3 times, and I plan on voting again against it a 4th time. I told my colleagues in every month that I vote against extending this emergency order. If 71,000 people are at SoFi Stadium, people are back at work. Grocery stores, the Target, are filled with people. We need to end the state of emergency. When vaccines are readily available, testing is readily available, we are no longer at crisis mode. So I'm with you. And if I was mayor today, I would have ended it.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. You've actually answered some questions that were proposed to be asked. So let me ask you another one that deals directly with your particular district. The port. The port is an abomination as far as the rest of us can see. We've got ships well beyond the breakwater. They're waiting for days and weeks and God knows months to offload their products. As a result of that, we had an oil spill of fortunately moderate damage, but it was still an oil spill. What can you do to get that port operating at the level that the country's largest commercial port should be operating at?
Well, I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced the negative impacts a lifetime. I've never left this place. My wife, I've never left. Our whole family's still here. Sisters, aunts, uncles.
Oh, you've been to Sherman Oaks once or twice.
Of course. No, of course. But it has been the perfect storm. It has been the perfect storm. You had the trade wars under Trump administration, followed by COVID. You had the increase in demand of online shopping. You had a workforce that was sick in the Longshore, which I'm related to half of them down here. And then we demanded the assistance from the state and the federal government, which helped out with allowing the operation of a 24/7 port. I pushed for penalizing the shipping companies that were using the port as a storage facility. We had a ton of empty containers that were that were being used and were not able to be shipped out, and thus causing the backlog because of a lack of space at the terminals. At the same time, we saw amazing records being set by our port complex. Every single month, we've actually identified acreage that became available in and around the port complex. And we've seen a drastic improvement over the course of these last 6 months or so. But we know the port accounts for 1 in 9 jobs in this region. The computer that you're on came from the port. The chair that you're sitting on came from the port. And as mayor, I will put people in place that will not only recognize and respect the work that's being done here, but also will make sure that the port remains competitive, and will ensure that we move on a port that is environmentally responsible as well. I've sat on the AQMD. We've seen reductions in NOx and SOx and emissions over the course of these last 10 years. And I know we can do more.
All right, thank you. We're just about out of time. I'm getting a signal here, but let me ask you one more question.
My daughter just texted me.
Well, just a simple one. You've actually spoken about it, but you didn't quite deal with, I don't believe. We all know that there are 3 segments to the unhoused population. One is people who just can't afford to live anywhere, even though they may have a job. Secondly, are the mental illness people, and thirdly, are, of course, just addicts and other people who are a little on the fringes. It's easy to say that we can just clean up the sidewalks by passing an ordinance, no sleeping on the sidewalks. But we all know, and you know it in spades, you can't just throw these people in jail as a result, particularly if they have mental illness or they're addicts. That's not going to be a solution, because they're going to be back on that same street corner and get arrested, and they don't care because they get a couple of meals, a shelter for a day or two. And I guess they do care. That was putting it incorrectly, but the problem is a revolving door. So you did touch earlier upon your attitude towards increasing mental health, and I assume beds for dealing with addiction. Where are you specifically going to get the funds, and how are you going to get it done in the 36 months that you say you can clean up this entire city of 4 million people?
Well, let me say that money is not an issue. We have billions of dollars filtering down. In fact, my wife pointed out, if we solve homelessness tomorrow, there'll be a lot of people, a lot of nonprofits out of work. So I can tell you that this is why we need emergent housing now, by using the dollars that we have today on advancing on immediate solutions. That's why I got this ballot measure. But that's also why we need to focus on the mental health beds and demanding the county and the state for longer term care. We also need to make drugs harder to come by and treatment easier to come by. We know that interim housing can be delivered quickly. We know that. We've done it in my district. It's a proven model. Because my colleagues don't agree with me, we're going to take this citywide. And we have to recognize that Prop 47 has been a failure. Prop 47 has been a failure. Prop 47 was voted by the people of California to help people suffering from drug addiction. It pains me because I've seen with my own eyes. As a patrol officer, as a council member, we have the state has failed us $11 million. That's all we're getting a year on Prop 47. Who is that helping? It's actually allowing people to destroy themselves on the streets. As mayor, I will look at litigation, suing the federal government for not paying for inpatient mental health care. It's the only kind of medically necessary treatment for that Medicaid refuses to pay for. I've been on record demanding the federal government. They have failed us for the most vulnerable who are not in the right mind frame to say yes to help. Again, the only candidate who understands these issues, who's known the issues, because I've been on the ground, I've been on the street level. And you can tell over the course of this last hour, I'm telling you like it is. you're going to hear fancy words from my opponents. They'll be articulate in fancy words, but I encourage you to ask them, what actions have you taken to address the homelessness crisis, the mental health crisis, the drug addiction crisis, the public safety, the crime aspects in our city? We're going to turn things around.
Thank you, Councilman. It's been
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure for all of us to have you go through your explanations and to listen to you. I don't think we've been fortunate enough to have you as a guest before. So it's been a real pleasure. And I got to tell you that we'll have to follow up because we have to arrange for a bus down to your district so we can take you up on that.
Please.
Let's see my district and let's see what you've done.
Thanks, Jay. Please. And if you want to join the campaign, please go to joebuscaino.com, JOABUSCAINO.com. And my ballot initiative, go to saferstreets.la and you can see the plan right for you. Saferstreets.la. Thank you so much for having me.
Also, for the audience, before you click off, I just want to let you know we've got tune in. We'll give you notification real soon on our upcoming March speaker. And of course, put on your calendar.
Thanks, Matt.
Third Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In April, we will have the mayoral debate. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.